Hi, everyone. Welcome to Nashville Community Education's YouTube page. I am Lakeithia Anderson, the Community Engagement Coordinator. And today we're going to be doing something different, which I'm super excited about. We're going to do staff picks. Each member of the Nashville Community Education's team is going to be sharing 5 classes that they are excited about for spring 2021. And we are starting with our Executive Director, Mary Beth Harding. Hi, Mary Beth.
Hi, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. Hey, Lakeithia. I miss seeing you.
Right?
Yeah, we're still working from home.
This is so different from us, but this is really cool thanks to technology, which is great because we have some classes virtually, which is exciting from the comfort of our home. Yeah, so is there anything you want to share with the audience before we jump in with your picks?
Yeah, so I mean, our spring registration opens next Monday on December 7th. And we have, now that we've added actually a few extra classes, we actually have about 130, a little bit over 130 options for everybody in the spring. About half of the classes are scheduled to be virtual, and about half of the classes are currently tentatively scheduled to be in person. As we keep moving forward in time and we keep learning about, how coronavirus is going and what the numbers are and what the safe options are, we may have to change some of those in-person classes to virtual classes, or we may have to cancel too. So just keep that in mind when you're signing up for class, you're looking at the schedule. Just know that we are constantly monitoring what the situation is. We're listening to MNPS because if we do have in-person classes, those will be held within the cone school. And we really have to just sort of go by whatever Metro Public Schools is doing. So if they're not quite to fully in person yet, we probably won't be either. Just a good thing to keep in mind for people. Most of the classes we have scheduled for in-person won't be till March or April. So we're really hoping that that gives us some time. Maybe there's some sort of vaccine for at least our most vulnerable community members available by that time, and we can be a little bit safer. Everybody wear your mask, stay home when you can, and we'll try to get this thing under control a little bit more.
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So let's jump right in. What is your first pick for spring?
Well, also I just lost my list, so give me 1 second. But I know for me, the one thing I'm personally really excited about this fall, I took our beginning birding class with Andy Lance, who works for the UT TSU Extension. And we did a virtual birding class. It was awesome. For 5 weeks, we met online and talked about things like our binoculars and where to find birds. And we learned 25 different types of birds so we can identify them. And then we met up actually socially distanced at a park nearby on the last day. And so I got really into birding, and I actually set up, I can see from where I am now from my workspace, I set up bird feeders and things like that in my backyard, but I've also been going out to Shelby Bottoms and birding pretty regularly. It's been such a nice relief during this time of sort of social isolation, and it's been really meditative. All you can do is sort of focus on trying to identify birds and sort of gets me off of any sort of tangential thinking that I might be doing. And I'm really excited for intermediate birding later in the spring. We'll be meeting up at various outdoor locations in Davidson County. So it could be Shelby Bottoms, it could be Radnor Lake, it could be across sort of Davidson County places to do some actual birding together. And so we do say that you should take that beginning birding class, or if you're just someone who has been bird watching, you can identify most of the birds. Most sort of common backyard birds, you'll probably be okay. You know how to use binoculars. And then Andy really encourages us to use eBird, is a website through the Cornell Ornithology Lab. And it's this community conservation. So you just log in the birds you see during certain birding sessions. And it really helps conservationists and ornithologists learn more about the health of our bird populations, which can also tell us a lot about our environment. So
cool.
that. And so you just need to be familiar with eBird and sort of be familiar with birding in order to take the intermediate birding class. Of course, we would love it if you've taken the beginning birding class to come back with us, but that's not necessarily required. That's one class that I personally am very, very excited for. Will definitely be taking because I just loved the beginning birding class this fall.
Well, let me ask you this. Have you found anything cool as any birds you didn't know about or?
Oh yeah. So, I mean, there's lots of birds I didn't know about because I honestly didn't really know anything. One of the reasons I took the class was because the people love the class. Like Andy gets the best reviews. It's such a good class. And I thought, you know what? I can do this. I'm at home. A lot of times just taking classes like after you've done a full day of work is kind of exhausting sometimes. I was like, no, I'm going to do this class. This will be really good for me right now. So I took it and I obviously learned a lot more birds. I bought a chickadee house. So hopefully this little baby chickadees, those aren't exciting, but they're really cute. In the backyard, I've had a couple woodpeckers.
Oh.
Red-bellied woodpecker comes fairly often. And then right now I have some suet like right outside my window and little tiny kinglets are coming fairly regularly. And I have about 6 dark-eyed juncos. That was a bird I didn't know about. They're really cute too. They're all really cute.
That is actually really cool. So
I'm also just becoming more and more of a nerd. It's fine.
Sounds like it, but it's so great.
Yeah, so the other classes actually in the catalog, they're on the same page, on page 20 of the catalog, that I'm really excited about is Haley's Herbs in the Garden series. I am also, as you know, Lakeithia, an avid gardener, big fan of gardening, and I do have quite a few herbs already in my garden. So this is really for people who are beginning gardeners to experienced gardeners. Herbs are really the easiest things to really grow for most people. You can have a small space. You don't have to have a big yard. You don't have to till. You can put them in pots. So the series is a series of 3 different classes. You can take them all together, like you can pay for all of them, sign up for all 3, or you can sign up for each individual one based on your interest or schedule. So culinary herbs is obviously like cooking with herbs. How can you use these herbs in the kitchen? How do you dry them? How do you store them? The one I'm kind of interested in is medicinal herbs. So we're not able to do herbs instead of medicine. Think like first aid or things that can help benefit you, like stress relief, pain relief, like how to like soothe a sunburn and things like that. So that kind of medicinal sort of beneficial ways you can use herbs from your garden. And then the other one that I've been getting into learning more about native plants. So she's going to talk about planting native herbs. So native plants that are native to our Tennessee region. When you start planting these types of plants in your garden, you're going to attract more native wildlife. They tend to grow better just because they're used to this climate. And it's just generally better for the environment and oftentimes sort of better for you. I also, as you know, and we'll talk later about some yoga stuff. And one of the things of Ayurvedic yoga, which is like the science side of, or sister science to yoga, is sort of becoming more localized. So like eating local foods, having local herbs, things that are more natural to your environment can help, really just balance out your life a little bit is the theory behind that. So I'm excited about that.
That's cool.
Is only $50 for all 3, or you could do each class for $25. So I'm excited about that one. That was with Haley. Those are going to be all virtual. So if you're not wanting to come in person, don't worry, you don't have to. Those are all going to be virtual. They're just one-night classes for 3 classes. So pretty fun, simple, easy tips.
I'm excited about those too.
For sure. Okay, so my next class that I'm excited about is a new class with one of my favorite teachers and just people. I love is Leslie Patterson Marks, who is a really wonderful artist. I actually have known Leslie for many years. I used to work in arts education specifically, and so we worked together for a while. Leslie is this wonderful artist. If you don't like follow her on Instagram or something, you should. And she's going to be doing a class about 3 simple techniques for printing on fabric. So she'll be going through different. It's going to be a pre-recorded class. So she'll record the classes and then we'll send out links to those classes on what's listed as the class days. So it's on March 25th at 6 p.m. On March 25th, we will send out these links to these recorded classes and you can watch them as many times as you want. You can start and stop it. And the password for those will last at least 30 days. So you have about a month to sort of go back. You could pause, you could rewatch things. You know, if you're not available on Thursday, March 25th, but you are available on the Saturday after, you can watch it then. We're doing a few of these pre-recorded classes, especially for the art classes. I think it's really good because you can watch the video, go try the things out and rewatch parts that you have questions about. And the teachers will also be available via email if you have specific questions. So that's going to be a really, really fun class. We're going to do things like silk screening, dye resist, and then doing some printing with vegetables. She's really using things that we have in our house too. So there's like an embroidery hoop for the silk screen instead of like a silk screening thing. Screen, I guess is what it's called. It's like a Kool-Aid and black tea and Elmer's glue for like the resist printing. She's really trying to make it so that you don't have to have fancy equipment or materials. You can use things you have at home to do these sort of simple techniques. And so if you have kids, that'll be a really fun one to watch too. A lot of the art classes will be, you can watch them with your kids, or you can try to adapt some of the techniques to be a little bit more kid-friendly based on their age, really great for teenagers. So that's going to be a really fun class.
I love that our art classes are, you know, becoming that where it's like, it can be a family activity, especially since we're in the house. It's cold now, trying to find the kids something to do because you can't take them to the park. So that is absolutely fun. And I love that, because I was going to ask, I was like, what equipment do you need? But I love that you're just using things that you would typically have at home. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, and for all those pre-recorded classes, you'll see all of them on page like 10 and 11 of the catalog. Those sort of create classes, we'll send the supply list about a week before, unless we think that you might need more than a week. Just so before you get the links, just so you have an idea of what you might want to have on hand if you do want to do it as soon as the links come. So you'll have a good idea, but we really try to make that as accessible as possible for people. And also I want to say something about the age thing. We've had this question come up on social media and stuff I saw.
Yes.
Generally speaking, we are an adult-only program, 18 and up. But we recognize that right now teens are really bored and kids can be bored. So our classes are certainly not geared towards young children at all. Now, if they're with you and they want to do an art class or something like that, and it's just you and them and you're the one kind of taking care of them, that's fine. When we're in person, that's a little bit more of a problem. So if you're in a virtual class and you want your little kid to do it with you, that's okay. We just want to make sure there's no distractions for the live virtual classes, or as few distractions as possible. Obviously, if your kid's just like home with you, you need to be helping them. We believe in that. We're just trying to keep it sort of down. But for teenagers especially, a lot of these classes they can take. Just know that they are adults, so we can't do things like censor, language or something like that. I know that becomes an issue sometimes in something like a creative writing class where adults want to be creative and sort of express themselves. So things like that, a little warning about that, but we are definitely open to having teens especially, and pretty much any of the virtual classes. So take a look at that. If you're interested in having your teens interested in a class, they're definitely welcome to take any of the virtual classes. For in-person, just send us an email first. Some teachers are more comfortable with youth than others, or some subjects or, projects might not be appropriate for someone under 18 for liability issues. Like when we used to have home repair and things like that, they're using power tools. We don't have the insurance for that for the youth. So they were not welcome to that one, but especially when we're on virtual, it's a lot safer and easier for teens.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. What do we have next?
Switching gears a little bit, literally. The new class that I'm excited about is our transitioning careers class. This is also going to be offered virtually. Megan Johnson is teaching it. As you know, we had a bit of a scare earlier in the summer and spring, when we thought we might be losing our jobs. And to be honest, with all of our watchers right now, that will be happening again in the spring, where we might have a little bit of uncertainty about our future. So this transitioning careers class, I told Megan, it's definitely something I thought about in the spring. It's kind of like when you're in your career and you're just not really sure what you want to do next, right? Like you're not really sure, you think maybe you want to change careers, but you just don't even know how. This class is really going to help you sort of start thinking about that in a different way, and like help you figure out what's going to be best for you, and sort of help you figure out how to do that transitioning of careers. So I think that's going to be a really good class. I think that's a really good class for the world that we're in now. So many of us are probably considering transitioning careers or being forced to transition careers, being forced to look into new jobs. And I would say go ahead and take that just as like a precautionary thing, even if it's something you think you might be willing to do in the next few years. I think that's just really good to do now before you get stressed out, because you might be losing your job or you might not be super certain about the future.
I think this year definitely taught us that a lot.
Yeah.
That we're so comfortable, but sometimes it forces you to have to change. I think that's one of the greatest things I love about our career section, where there are so many things in there that to just help us better with transitioning next time if we ever find ourselves. And it may not be a pandemic next time. It may just be where, we've run our course in a particular industry or career or lifestyle or whatever. I'm super excited about that. So that's a really important class. I think everyone can benefit from.
Yeah, I think a lot of our career classes are really about sort of figuring out who you are, what you would really want to do, and being prepared for change in the future. Yeah. And the other one I just really wanted to quickly highlight is, speaking kind of about that, is we have these leadership and effective communication boot camps. Actually, one of our commissioners is teaching these. So Dr. Catherine Y. Brown is teaching these little boot camps. And each one is basically like a similar type of boot camp about becoming a better leader and having effective communication, but they're each geared towards a different type of person. So the first one's for entrepreneurs, like specifically, what does it mean to be a small business owner, be an entrepreneur, and like have good leadership and communication skills. The second one is really interesting. It's for community leaders. So maybe you're not necessarily a business owner, but you are kind of a leader in your community, or maybe you're in charge of a nonprofit, or you work with your church. You're some sort of figure in your community. How can you become a better communicator and leader in that sense? And then the last one we're going to have is for teams. So like we could, as a team, take this class together and become like a better team that way. And that one, you'll get an option to get a comparison, like to get sort of a report that might help you specifically as a team. And then if 3 or more team members want to sign up together, you can receive a 25% discount per registrant using the code TEAMS. And if you want to email us and ask about that, you can. So let's say you have a group of 10 people, you want them all to take it, you get 25% off for each person that takes that together. And those are all going to be too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely awesome. Yeah, we have really some great career classes, some classes that build upon each other. So yay, super excited.
No, I'm super excited too. The career classes are going to be really good. And then of course, the next thing I'm really excited about, and the last thing I'll talk about, is in our wellness section, is all of our yoga classes. We have so many yoga classes in the spring, bringing some physical, mental, and emotional comfort to the people. And so I actually teach 2 of the classes. I teach chair yoga on Wednesdays at 11 and gentle yoga on Thursdays at 11. And Jody Bell also teaches gentle yoga on Mondays at 3. All of those, you can either sign up to come in person or virtually. So if we can have in-person classes, we'll have a camera in that class shooting at the teacher so that people can join in virtually if they don't feel comfortable coming in person.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we'll have that option. Chair and gentle are super gentle. It's right there in the name. Great for seniors, great for people with disabilities, great for people with injuries or ailments that might be sort of preventing them from moving a little bit faster, or just sort of taking some time to really think about how we move, why we're moving, being safe. For me, always in my teaching, modification is the norm. It's not about making a specific shape. It's about figuring out what feels good in your body and figuring out how like you can take these things with you and make them your own. We'll do meditation and breathing techniques. So really, I just like people to leave my class feeling a little bit better, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. Just giving yourself some time to learn about yourself and to just sort of give yourself some time to decompress. I also often talk about yogic philosophy throughout class. So if that's something that interests you, you might learn a few things there. The other 2 exciting ones that are getting added this spring is Jody is also teaching a vinyasa yoga class. So vinyasa literally just means like to place. You're just moving a little bit more with your breath. So generally speaking, vinyasa classes are a little bit faster and maybe just like a little bit more physically intense. Although with Jody, she's still going to offer lots of modifications and it's not going to be at all anything that's harmful. But that's just really for our students who might be feeling like they're ready to sort of take the next step or they want just a little bit more movement. Vinyasa is going to be that. And so that's on Monday evenings. It's also going to be hybrid, so in person or virtual. And then the next one is one that's dear to my heart. If you've taken my yoga classes, we've done some yin in them, but yin yoga is a slow and it's a steady practice. So instead of moving, you actually hold shapes for a pretty long period of time. And that allows your fascia, your connective tissue to relax. Mentally, it can be a challenge. So that's the one that's a little bit more of a challenge sometimes for people mentally, because you're sitting, you're like in stillness. But it can be incredibly powerful and incredibly transformative. So Marissa LaRoe is teaching that for us. And right now it's scheduled in person, but she has the ability to offer it virtually if we need to.
Yeah. I noticed that like I was looking that a lot of the yoga classes start in January, which I think about like December, you know, it's cold. We're still in the middle of a pandemic, and then January still gets colder, right? It's a great time to just kind of step away from work, step away from everything going on, and just especially if you're someone who deals with, you know, seasonal depression or anxiety and, you know, all of this, just kind of step away and just tune into yourself. So I love that they start right at the beginning of our session.
Yeah, and it's a great way to warm your body up too, right? Like kind of warm yourself up a little bit and get moving and going. And, you know, I talk a lot about this, especially during this time period. I switch the way I teach throughout the year because, yeah, you are kind of like sitting with yourself all the time. So let's move and give you something to think about that's not, you know, thinking about before. So I will say for my classes, like, they do have some challenge to them. So they're not necessarily boring. Like some people I think see dental and stuff and they think boring or like too easy. That's not it. I definitely give my students challenges. They're just really, really safe challenges, and they're challenges that you can decide to take. So I like give you the option. So I'm like, hey, if you want to move today because sitting is just not working for you, here's the choice you can take. And if you want to take it easy because you've been moving too much, you're like done with the Christmas hecticness, then you can choose this one. I think that's the same for Jody and Marissa. There's going to be a lot of choices in our classes, and we're all about empowering people to make like a choice for themselves in that moment.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing those classes with us and that information. Anything else you want to share before we tune out? And
I'm just so excited about the spring session. I put together, I'm the one that designs the catalog and everything. And I was getting so excited seeing all these classes. There's so many, I could keep going about all of them. And then, you know, if you're having a hard time deciding, or you want to ask for a gift for the holidays, we do have gift certificates available. You can buy them online. We can email them to you, or we can mail like a physical gift certificate to you or your loved ones. So, you know, go ahead and buy those online. We'll send them out to you. And that's a great way to make your decisions about what class you want to take later, or
yes,
your family member a gift, or someone that you love this chance to sort of empower themselves and enrich their lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mary Beth. It's always so great to see your face.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I hope you guys are being safe out there. Make sure you check our description out. I will have a link to our website and also our email so that you can send us an email with any questions that you have. Make sure you're making your list because Monday, December the 7th, registration starts.
Yep. Right. See you guys in classes soon. Bye.
Bye.